review on last week's lecture. Now, last week we talked about cellular network. Now, cellular network is divided into a geographic location area as a cell. Now, within each cell, you will have a base station. Now, that base station, the mobile device will connect to the base station transceiver. Base station transceiver will then connect to a mobile telephone switch office called NPSO. So if your mobile device wants to talk to some other people that is also a mobile devices, you will connect that to base station. Base station will connect to a mobile telephone switching office, then switch you to another base station transceiver to another mobile device. Now, if you want to talk to, let's say, home phone, then you can use your mobile device, connect to base station connect to MTSO switch you to public telephone switch network, then you are able to connect to home phone. Okay, any questions? 还可以听到我吧，对不对？
可以。
Okay, great. All right. So we said the base station, including antenna, of course, and a controller and the number of receiver to receive the connection from mobile devices. Then you have what we call the MTSO or mobile telephone switching office, which connects the call between the mobile units, between the different base stations, for example. Now, when the mobile device connect to base station, usually you have two types of channel available between the mobile devices and the base station BS. Control channel, which used to exchange information, has to do with set up and maintain a specific call. And the traffic channel, which actually carry a voice or data connection between the different users. Okay. Now, in a step, when you connect MTSO controller call between the mobile units initialize the call, originate a call, paging, accept a call, ongoing call, or handoff between each devices, each cell. Now, let's say assume we have a call unit or source and wants to call a destination or receiver units or destination. Now, first thing is mobile units needs to do is initialization, which need to scan and select the strongest control channel to connect to specific base station. So in this example, we have they have a 4 cell tower or 4 base station that's around these mobile devices. Now you want to scan them and to make sure you want to connect the one with the strongest setup channel. Now the call with a different frequency band are repeatedly broadcast at a different setup channel. Cells with a different frequency bands are repeatedly broadcast at different setup channel to allow them detect to find out the stronger channel. Once you detect and select the stronger channel, the next thing is to do a handshake between the mobile units and the MTSO to control the cell. Now, the handshake will identify the users and register its location by which cell it's going to be connected to. So once you enter a new cell, a new base station will need to select it. Then you need to do a re-handshake. So when your mobile device move, then you need to do a re-handshake over time by continue to scan and select the strongest setup channel. Now, when you want to originate a call, when you want starting a phone call, the first thing is the mobile device will check the setup channel to see the setup channel is idle by examining forwarding channel from the base station. If it's idle, the mobile unit will transfer or a mobile unit transmit to the base station by sending the caller's unit's number, the destination number, on the pre-selected setup channel. So you will select a setup channel. Now I'm going to send the number I want to dial at this channel. Then from that, base station will send this call request to MTSO. Now the MTSO, remember every time a mobile device register to base station, you need to what? You need to register to MTSO. So MTSO knows location, approximately the location of the mobile device. So if you want to call somebody or to call some destination, the MTSO will find out where that destination is and sends a paging message to a certain set of the base station, depends on the units located. So means MTSO will send that message to, let's say, for example, in this case, a 6 cell. The 6 cell, each of those base station will send actually a paging signal with its own assigned setup channel to try to figure out where it located. So once a mobile unit recognizes the number on the setup channel by paging, so if somebody paging that destination recognize that number, it will respond to the base station. Then the base station will respond to the MTSO. Then the MTSO will set up what we call a circuits connection between the calling and called base station, source and the destination base station. Then you select available traffic channel with each base station and connect the mobile units. Okay. Now the two mobile units then tune to specific assigned channel and start communicate by actually accept the call. So when ongoing call means now start, two mobile units now can able to exchange voice or data signal through their prospective base station and the MTSO. And when the mobile units move from one base station to another base station, you need to do what we call a handoff. That is when a mobile unit move out of the range of one cell and move into the range of another cell during the connection. Then they need to do the handoff from one base station to another base station. Okay, this should be done without the interrupting of the cell call or alerting the users. Now, additional function in the MTS call are including call blocking, call terminating, call drop, or call to and from a fixed or to the remote subscriber. Okay, the call blocking is that if all the traffic channel assigned to the nearest base station are busy, okay, when you initiate a call, then it will do the repeating intents. Right? If that repeating intent fails, you will hear the busy tone, which will return it to a user. This is call blocking. Call terminating. If one of the two users hang up, once they hang up the phone, disconnected, it will inform MTSO. MTSO right away release that traffic channel at a both base station. Okay, allow the base station to receive call from other devices. Call drop. Call can be dropped if you want to do the handoff, for example, if it cannot maintain the minimum requirement of the signal strength for a period of time during the connection, the call will get dropped. The drop traffic channel to the channel will get dropped to the user from the user, which also inform the MTSO say, hey, the call has been dropped due to the connection is not strong enough, or it could be an interference or could be a weak signal spot, which MTSO will record all this information. Then also there's a function that you want to call from and to a remote subscriber. Say, for example, you want to call using mobile phone to home phone or from home phone to the mobile phone, right? Then that will go to MTSO to public telephone switch network. Then public telephone switch network will find out your home phone number and connect them. Similarly, if you want to dial from home phone to a cell phone, we'll go to public telephone switch network, then talk to MTSO. MTSO then again will talk to the specific cell, paging them. Okay, so they will set up the connection between a mobile device and a fixed subscriber to telephone network. You can also connect to another MTSO. Say, for example, you want to use a cell phone, connect to friend from Tainan, for example. Then that will might go through public telephone switch network and go to another MTSO, then connects them. Okay, so those are the additional functions. You can call from land phone. You can call from one mobile device to another mobile device that's located in the same MTSO, or you can locate in a different MTSO coverage. Okay, 有没有任何问题 ？Any questions on last week? This is stuff that we covered last week. Okay, again, 有问题就问 Okay, you can ask anytime. Now, As we also talk about basic mobile telephones propagational effect. That effect, the signal strength gets weaker and weaker. That's a propagational effect, right? Now, the signal strength, again, it must be strong enough between the base station and the mobile units in order to maintain the call, maintain the signal quality at the receiver. However, you do not want that signal strength to be so strong that can create too much co-channel interference with the channel that's in another cell using the same frequency band. Same frequency band, but different cell. Okay. Now, not the propagational effect, it's a fading. The signal propagational effect may disturb the signal and cause an error. Okay. Now, when you design the propagational, when you're designing a cellular layout, you usually have to take consideration of the propagational effect. Or in another word, propagation effects when you're designing a cell, which is cell size. So you want to have a desired maximize the transmission level at the base station and the mobile units. So usually take consideration of typical height of mobile units and a typical height of a base station. Now, the propagational effect actually are what we call effects are actual dynamic, and it is very hard to predict. Okay, so last week we talked about an empirical model. Okay, as only a guideline, just a guideline for us to design a cell size. Okay, so we talk about the urban. We'll give example. We'll give equation for the urban, suburban, and open area. Now, urban area you also divide into small or medium-sized cities or a larger city. Okay. Now, so for the urban environment, we're using Hitto's model in the Tokyo area. Now, I'm just going to skip the equation. Okay, so you can go back and take a look on the equation that we talked about the last week. Okay, for the urban, suburban, and open area. Again, urban area break down to small, medium-sized city and a large-sized cities. Now, the propagational effect will reduce the signal strength, right? So therefore, you need to somehow if we talk about when one cells, when you connect a mobile device connect to one base station, if that signal gets weaker, if I move farther away, that signal gets weaker is a propagational effect. Okay. Now, so that means if the signal between one base station and the mobile device gets weaker, you will reconnect to another base station by handing off. Now, hand off has a performance matrix. Okay, that performance matrix including call blocking probability. Okay, which is the probability a new call being blocked. Call dropping probability is the probability that the call is terminated due to hang off. So if I hang off, I want to success is a call drop. Call completion probability is the probability I making a call is not dropped before you actually hang off. Okay, actually I end the call, I terminate. Okay, that's a call completion probability. I complete the call without any problem. Then you have a probability of unsuccessful hangout. Okay, unsuccessful hangout is probability hangout that's executed while reception conditions are not inadequate. The condition I want to hang out to the next base station, that condition is not inadequate. That means probability of unsuccessful hangout. Okay, all right. Now, then you have a handout blocking probability. It's the probability that handout cannot be successfully completed. It get blocked. Then you have handout probability. It's the probability that handout occur before the call terminate. So that you can think of it as if you're moving, if you're walking, okay, compared to you're driving, compared to you riding a high-speed train, the hangout probability will be different, right? Then you have rate of hangout. The rate of hangout is the number of hangout per time units, right? How many hangout it is. So similar as the example, if you're walking or if you are riding inside a car or you are riding a high-speed train, okay, the rate of hangout are different. Then you have interruption duration. The interruption duration is the time during the interrupt time during the handoff, which a mobile device is not connected to neither base station, means the temporary disconnect on both base station. That's interrupt. Then you have a handoff delay. Handoff delay is the distance that mobile units move from one point which occurred of handoff, should occur of handoff, to the point that actually does the handoff. This is what we call a handoff delay. Okay. All right. The next is a handoff decision. Right. So now we know handoff. Then we need to. Last week we also talked about different type of handoff decision. Okay. So in this figure, you have one base station on the left side, base station A, and one base station on the right. Okay, it's base station B. So you have a mobile devices riding along the car, moving from location A to location B. Okay, so on the bottom you have a LA, location A, and a location B. Okay. Now you're moving along, then on the y-axis means is the signal strength. Okay, so now if you take a look, if I move from location A to location B, or I move from base station total to base station A to base station B, then you can see the red line is the signal strength from base station A. The signal strength gets weaker and weaker as you move farther away from the base station A. But if you're moving toward to base station B, means you're moving closer and closer, then your signal strength gets stronger and stronger for base station B. Okay, so that's now we're going to decide when do I want to hand out from base station A to base station B, or when do I want to hand out from base station B back to base station A. Now, the strategy for the handout are as follows to determine the instant when do you want to hand out. The first one is relatively toward to the signal strength. Now, the relatively signal strength is this. If the signal strength at B first exists at A, if signal strength B is stronger than A, the mobile units hand out from base station A to base station B. Okay. Similarly, if the signal strength at B fell below A, then the mobile units is hand out back to A. Okay, so it will switch between B and A. Okay, at the location 1. Okay, so if you look on the figure on the right side, at the location 1 is where you hand out between A and B. Okay, all right. However, the problem on this relatively total signal strength is you will create what we call a ping pong effect, which you pass back and forth between two base stations. If one stronger than the other, then that's switching back. If one stronger than the other, then that's switching forward. Okay, so you will get that ping pong effect. Okay, all right. So the next one is what we call a signal strength, a relative signal strength with some threshold. Means I'm going to assign some threshold. Okay, if the handout only occurred if the current base station signal strength is significantly weaker, less than some threshold. Okay, then you hand out. Okay, so as long as the current base station is adequate, is enough, the handout will be unnecessary. Okay. So for this, you can have an example. You can see you have threshold 2 and threshold 3. Okay. Now, of course, threshold, the high threshold is used, which is sent as a relatively signal strength scheme. If I have strong to a certain point, then I do the handout. Then that means 2 are equal. Then I have threshold 2. Then the threshold 2, what do I have is if I use threshold 2, then now I hand off at the location 2. So that means if that signal strength is stronger at certain threshold, then I hand off to B. Okay, so that decision is made at the location 2. That threshold will cause you to change in hangout location at location 2. Then we take a look on the if we set the threshold so big. Okay, say that I'm going to set the threshold toward to 3. So then I hand out at the location 4. But if that threshold is getting too big and hand out at the location 4, it might have a result to drop the call because now the signal strength at the location, so at location 4, if I still at location 4 means I'm going to connect to base station A. But the signal strength from location A might be too weak for me to maintain the connection. So that might cause me to have a call to get dropped. Okay. So setting out the threshold is very important. So this is the effectiveness of the threshold will depend on what we call the prior knowledge of a crossover signal stream. I know that signal stream gets significantly stronger, and at a certain point, I'm going to switch over. Okay, so that threshold will depend on the prior knowledge. Now, the third one is relative signal strength with hysteresis. Now, hysteresis is, I'm just going to use some margin. Okay, that margin means when a base station B is significantly strong by specific margin. You see that margin can change, right? At a certain point, okay, then I hang out. So in that case, if I use some margin, okay, between the two base stations, okay, then the hangout will occur at the location 3. Okay, this is preventing the ping pong effect. So because it's stronger than the 3, then when I go back, I will delay the similar thing. Okay, so therefore, the two-state switching between A and B is if I have some threshold, some margin. Okay, if the signal greater than this margin, greater or equal to this margin, then I hang out to B. But when I coming back toward to it, if the signal strength is less than negative, okay, negative of margin, then I hang out to A. Okay, so you can see the margin plays a kind of like a buffer, okay, to delay the hangover between the two base stations. Okay. All right. So the next one is simply I'm going to apply both signal strength with hysteresis and threshold. So the hangout occurs if the current signal drop below to certain threshold, or the target base station is stronger than the current one by some margin. Okay, so that's the one that combining both. Then the last one is using actually predicted. Okay, based on the expected value of the receiving signal strength, I know, okay, I should hang all over to one base station if I know that base station gets stronger and stronger. For example, if I'm in a railroad, okay, 我在高速 or in a highway, I do not change my direction to 180 degree. 我不会马上反一个掉头, right? So in that case, so I'm only moving from location A to location B. So I know I eventually will move into location from location A to location B. So I hang out at the predicted time when I know I'm eventually going to go from A to B. I can hang out at a specific time. Okay, so that's a predicted technique, because I know in the physical environment that in highway, in the railroad, I will not go backward. Okay, so I know I'm going to continue moving forward, so I can do the hang off that way. Okay, any questions? 有没有任何问题？好，有任何问题一样，你可以 turn on 你的 microphone， 好不好？好。We say another issue on when we at the cellular network is we want to prevent the cold channel interference, right? So the cold channel interference has to do with the power control. Okay, this is a designing issue to make it desirable to including dynamic power control in the cellular network, which receive signal must be significantly above the background noise for effective communication. Okay, I need to make sure the QoS is good enough for me to decode, right? However, it is also desirable to minimize the power in a transmitted signal from the mobile device. Okay, this has to do with, first, to reduce the cold channel interference. Second is elevating health concern. Okay, third one is a safe battery. Okay, especially cold channel interference and safe battery is very important. Okay. Health concern 我们就 leave as it, okay? 如果这对你的健康有影响 if you're using more power to generate more frequency, because after all, it's radiated power, right? Okay, so therefore the power control, the main thing is cold channel interference and safe battery. So we want to minimize that, right? But not so small that I still need to have enough above the background noise for effective communication. So in the spectrum using CDMA, it is desirable also to have an equal received power level from all the mobile device, okay? Especially all devices using same frequency allocation, okay? So I need to have a similar power strength when I receive at the receiver, okay? Especially in CDMA. Now, so two types of a power control. The first one is what we call the open loop power control, which depends solely on the mobile units. Mobile unit decide because mobile unit is the one that I need to transmit a certain amount of power, right? So it will depend on only mobile device. There's no feedback from the base station. So in the spectrum, base station in a spectrum system, base station continues to transmit unmodulated signal called pilot, okay, which transmitted in the control channel. And the mobile units monitor this receiving power and transmit the power in reverse from the mobile device to base station channel, inversely proportional to the pilot. So if I receive pilot signal to 3, I know they say total power is 10, for example, then I know that by the time I send over, it's only from 10, it's only left with the power of 3. So I know, okay, 10 minus 3, I need to reversely send roughly around 7, okay, to the base station. That's enough, okay. Now, this is not as accurate as what we call the closed loop, but can react very quickly to the fluctuation of the signal strength. This had to do the quick fluctuation between the signal strength because we move all the time, right? Now, the second approach is called closed loop power control. Now, the closed loop power control means the signals adjust the signal strength in the reverse channel based on some metric of the performance. That's including signal power, signal to noise ratio, bit error rate. Okay, so the base station is the one make power adjustment decision and communicate mobile devices through control channel. They will tell the base station will tell the mobile device at the control channel which level of power you should use, okay, or how to adjust your power. Okay. Now, besides the power control, the next thing we talk about is traffic engineering. Now, ideally, in a specific system, you use available channel will be equal to the number of active subscribers at one time. Okay, but in reality, in the practice, it's not feasible to have a capacity that handle all the possible load. Okay, so therefore, if I have an n simultaneous user capacity and an L subscriber, okay, if L is less than N, means I have enough system capacity to handle number of subscribers, then this is non-blocking system. But however, if I have a subscriber that is more than the capacity of the system, N capacity of system, then this is what we call a blocking system. Means there's a chance a subscriber will get blocked, okay, due to the system capacity. Okay, most of systems are blocking system, okay, because they assume that not all the subscriber users you will use the network at the same time. So therefore, in a blocking system, the performance question is the probability that calls get blocked, okay, or what the capacity N is needed to achieve certain upper bound on the probability of blocking. If I want to get blocking 50%, 80%, what are my capacity that I needed to design the system? Another thing is what is the average delay. Okay, it means the delays that a person making a call and waiting there to actually get connected. What are the average delay? Another thing is the capacity is needed to achieve certain average delay. Okay, what are the capacity N is needed to achieve certain average delay? This brings us to traffic intensity calculation, or queuing theory is Lowell's law. Okay, now a load should be presented in the system as A equals to lambda times H. The lambda means the rate of calls attempts per unit time. Okay, H means the holding time per successful call, how long this call will be. Okay, how many call comes in and how long this call will be. These two times together will equals to the average number of call arrived during the average holding period, which is normalized in lambda. Now, so you can look on a cell as a multi-server queuing system where number of server equals number of channels capacity n. Okay, then that equation will be lambda times h will equals to what? N number of server times server utilization or fraction of time a server is busy. So number of server, how many server can serve? What's that utilization? Well, equals to the average arrival rate times the average serve time at the server. Okay, so that is the traffic intensity we talked about last week. Okay, any questions? 有没有任何问题？好，有问题任何时候你都可以问，好不好？那接下来 we're going to talk about we're going to go on the chapter 10 on the wireless cellular wireless network or cellular network. Okay, so cellular network. Now we're going to start out from first and second generation of the network system. We're going to see that the first and second generation of cellular system is a dramatic change. Okay, then we're going to go on all the way to third generation, fourth generation. Okay. Now, the first generation of cellular network, believe it or not, it's an analog. Okay. Now, it's an analog of a cellular network. So you can see on the bottom that cell phone actually quite huge. Okay. So they sending the analog signal instead of digital signal. Now, the initial on the first generation, they set out as advanced mobile telephone services, AMPS. Now, in the North America, okay, there are two 25 gigahertz band that allocated for these services. Okay, one for transmission from the base station to mobile device, one transmission from mobile device to base station. Okay, forwarding and reverse connection. Now, each of those 25 band are split into two actually to encourage competition. So to two operators. I believe was Bell and T-Mobile, not T-Mobile, AT&T and Bell as a two company. Okay, so kind of like 台湾大哥大跟远传 ，okay, 或者是中华电信跟远传中华电信跟台湾大哥大 ，right? So to break that two channel to two company allow them to compete with each other. Now the frequency reuse are explicit. Okay, so now therefore we have two of 25 megahertz band channel between base station to mobile device and mobile device to base station. We say that break down to two company, two operator. So now they break down to each one of those break down to 12.5 megahertz band for two operator. Okay. Now each of those is including 416 channels with 30k hertz per channel or 12 megahertz. Okay. Now you have on those 416 channel, you have 21 channel for control, which allow you to send 10k bits per second. Then you have 395 channel are for conversation or the traffic channel, okay, for conversation call or telephone call. This is still analog, okay? Now, the AMPS operation is just like what we talked about before. So it haven't changed much, okay, from first, second, third way to third, fourth generation. It didn't change too much as the architecture or system layout is the same. Just the technique they're using on the line of the physical layer are different. So in the AMPS operation is you have subscribe initial a call, okay, by typing the phone number and hit sends. Then from that to base station to MTSO verify the number and the authorized user. MTSO issue a message to the caller's phone indicating send and receive traffic channel. So now the issue send and receive traffic channel at the user's phone. Then MTSO sends a ring signal to the caller party to the destination, okay, by paging, right? So we haven't learned that paging, okay? Then the party answer, if the destination answer, then MTSO establishes a circuit connection from sender to the base station to the to whatever the MTSO to, or to the other base station, then from the other base station to the destination, then backward. Okay. Once I establish the circuits connection, then I initialize the billing information. At that time, to making a cell phone call is quite expensive. So they start bill you, start try to count which minute you start making a call, which minute you actually establish call, which minute you terminate the call. So when the party hangs up or terminates the call, NTSO release the circuits, free the channel, and completes billing. That means now it will keep a track when start making call, when ends the call. Okay, so that's AMPS, the first generation of cellular network, which quickly brings us to the second generation of cellular networks, a 2G system. Now, the big change between the first generation and second generation is now is switching from analog traffic channel to a digital channel. So the first channel are pure analog using FM. Okay, the second generation system are all digital. Okay, since you starting getting a digital connection, then you are able to do the encryption, which all the second generation provides encryption to prevent eardropping in the second generation cellular network. And because it's digital, you are able to not only to do the encryption, you are able to do error detection and error correction. On the second generation of digital traffic, allowed to detect and correct to generate a clean voice reception. Then you have a channel access. The second generation system allowed the channel to be dynamically shared by a number of users using time division multiple access. Okay, so which brings us to this. Okay, for first generation, because it's analog, pure analog can only use frequency division multiple access. So you will have a 2M channel, each one with a delta hertz for each channel. The M channel as a reverse channel and the M channel as forwarding channel. So 2M channel, so one set of M channel for reversing mobile units to base station. One set of channel, forwarding channel, is base station to mobile units. Okay, so forward, reverse, and forward channel. Each of those channels are separated by some delta, okay, for each channel. Okay, so for each of those duplex connection, users will assign to two channels, F and F plus capital delta. Okay, now because you're using analog and because you need to have a forwarding and reverse or duplex connection, the disadvantage is that at most of the time, only one or even both channels are idle. One channel are used, okay? Because you cannot talk and listen at the same time, right? So it means one party is talking, the other party will listening. So it means one forwarding channel was busy, the other reverse channel will get idle. So that's a disadvantage on the FDMA. Although you can frequency division multiple access by divide the frequency. However, okay, because you need to guarantee a full conversation between back and forth, so you will reserve a forwarding channel and a reverse channel. But in the characteristic of cell phone, you can only have one people talking, the other one is not talking. So the other channel, the reverse channel, might be idle. Just like what we are right now. I'm talking, you listening. So if I'm connecting you with a full duplex channel, you only listen when I'm talking. You did not use the other reverse channel back toward to me, right? So that channel actually is idle, okay? So that's a first generation. Then the second generation is time division multiple access, because the second generation now is digitalized, right? So since it's digitized, it means now I can divide not only frequency, but also time, okay? Because I'm start sending bits, okay? So number of channel assigned to each cell have to reverse, have forwarding, similar concept, but those channels are actually logical channel. So you still have a full duplex communication that's assigned to each user. each physical channel, okay, that physical frequency channel is subdivided to number of logical channel time slot, okay, the logical channel. The transmission are actually transmit in a logical channel that time slot across certain sequence of frame, okay. So that's TDM, okay. So the second generation is digitized and you able to use time division multiple access. But first generation is analog, so you can only do frequency division multiple access. Okay. So when you design a wireless mobile phones time division multiple access, there are a number of logical channels are divided from the physical channel. In the second generation cell network, they divide a number of logical channel per physical channel. The maximum cell radius on the second generation is 35 kilometers. The frequency is around 900 megahertz. It can support the vehicle speed up to 250 kilometers per hour on the very high speed train. Okay. Now the maximum coding delay is approximately 20 milliseconds. Okay. A maximum delay spread are 10 seconds. Okay. The bandwidth is not exceeds to 200k hertz, okay, or 25k per channel. Okay. All right. 有没有任何问题 so far？
老师
是
，page 40.
40, okay.
Can you explain more detail about logical channel?
Okay, a logical channel is same. So on the first generation, I divided into physical channel. That's no problem, right? 就像是time division multiple access 这样子，对不对？那在 second generation， 因为 second generation 是 digitalized 的，表示只要我的 packet arrive 或者我的这个encoding scheme arrive before 我可以接下去下一个的话，那我就可以把原本一个 physical 的 frequency channel 再把它切成很多 time slots， 对不对？那每一个 time slot 其实就是一个 logical channel。OK， 所以你可以看那个下面的最左边这张图 ，OK， 它是同一个 frequency， 对不对？但是我切了1、2、3、4、5、6个 time slot， 对不对？这6个 time slot 每一个 time slot 都是一个 logical channel。所以你可能会有6个 time slot， 但在TDMA 的 second generation 里面 ，it actually 切的是8个 logical channel per physical channel， 所以你切的是8个 time slot。OK， 好吧？好。
那就是的第40页的中间那张图是，就是
这个是有点像是在讲这件事情。OK， 其实因为我找不到一个图是很好表示我有一个 base station， 但是 connect 到 multiple receiver。OK， 所以你可以把下面中间这张图，这个它其实是用 satellite 跟 ground station。OK， 但 satellite 跟 ground station 也是用 TDMA 的方式。OK， 所以你可以把它想象成 satellite 其实是一个 base station。OK，ground station 其实是一个什么？是一个 mobile devices。OK， 所以 mobile devices 会 use certain slot， 去 send 这个 signal 到 base station。OK， 所以假设 station 1用2和3 OK 去送这个或者是某个 slot 去送这个东西。OK， 那但是对于 base station 送下来的时候，它就会是每一个 slot 都送。OK， 那 receiver 决定我要在哪一个 slot 去听它。OK， 所以你看三个 station 在这个下面。OK， 它用 reverse channel 去送它，但是它必须还要选择 time 去决定什么时候送，所以它会有一个 logical channel。所以 base station 1、station 2、station 3，你可以把它想成使用者1、使用者2、使用者3，它会用3个不同 logical channel 去送它。但是在 reversing 回来，从 base station 到 mobile device 的时候，最右边这张图的时候，它 它会在这一整个 physical channel 里面一直送东西，只不过这个东西是给谁的，是要由自己去听了之后说，哦，我知道在这个 time slot 我要听这一段，所以这个东西是这个 time slot 是我的，所以你可以看在最右边的图上面，它写 transmission for base station for station 1 transmission for station 2 transmission for station 3 然后 back to transmission for station 1，所以它等于它用了3个 logical channel 去送给这3个 station 或者3个 users， 这是这个 concept for time division multiple access。
所以 cell 就是那个基地台，然后下面的 user 有3个，我就会分3个 physical channel，
3个 logical channel，
3个
logical channel，
然后6个 physical channel。
不对，OK， 你先把上面
physical channel，
你先把上面想成那个 satellite 其实是一个 base station，因为我找不到更好的图去 represent 这个东西 ，OK， 所以 satellite 是 base station，OK， 然后下面3个 station 是3个使用者，3个 mobile device，3个 mobile device，OK， 所以3个 mobile device 它在这3个 mobile device 其实是 share 一个 physical channel，
一个 physical channel，
但是因为它用 time slicing 的话 ，slicing 成3个 logical channel。
我用时间把它切成3个，
切成3个 logical channel， 所以在某一个时间点 base station 1送，某一个时间点 base station 2送，某一个 station base 3送，对不对？然后再换 base station 1送，对不对？在中间这个 concept 是这样子，对不对？那这个是怎么去 share 这个 channel？ 让我今天要把 data 送给 base station， 我送给刚刚这个satellite， 但 satellite 要送回就是 reply reverse channel 的时候呢 ，reverse channel 它就是在同一个 physical channel 里面一直送东西 ，OK， 但是这个东西你要什么时候去 pick up， 就由自己的 mobile device 决定。譬如说，我现在在这个 base station 1等于是使用者1好了 ，right？所以我会在 transmission for station 1的时候收一次，但是我还是可以听到 transmission 2、transmission 3， 只不过我 choose not to listen 或者 choose not to decode， 或者是我根本没有办法 decode 它，你还记得？
我就把耳朵盖起来。
对，或者是我没办法 decode 它，因为还记得我们用SS on CDMA 的话，那我没办法 decode 它，因为是 code chip 的问题。对，直到我到下一个 time slot 的时候，我才听懂这又是我的 data。
哦，那我要怎么理解那个上面的1/2 reverse 跟1/2 forward？
1/2 reverse 就1/2 reverse 1/2 forward 就是
在同一个 logical channel， 我又再切它了吗？
不对，同一 1/2 reverse 1/2 forward 这是 physical channel。The number channel assigned to each cell， 是1/2 reverse， 就像这边一样，假设我只有在这个 case 里面我只有2个 channel， 我就是一个 channel 是一个 physical channel 从 station 送到 satellite， 一个 channel 从 satellite 送回到 base station， 送回到 station，
所以我有2个 physical channel，
对，
然后一个去一个回，
对，永远都是这样。
然后那个 physical channel， 我送出去的那个会用时间把，2个 physical channel 我都会再用时间去把它切开
成 logical channel， 没错。OK， 好 ，it's good question。OK on both。好，还有没有任何问题？
老师，那41页
41页来，
就是 coding delay 是什么意思？
这个只是 physical， 这个是 specification。The maximum coding delay 是我这个讯号过来的时候，我一定有 propagational delay 和 propagational signal 的 weakness。我的 maximum 我只能 tolerate 20 millisecond。OK， 然后我的 maximum spread 就是我从一个 packet 到下一次的这个logical packet 的 maximum delay spread 就是整个 overall 只能是10 seconds。这个只是 specification， 你不用太紧张去记得它。我等一下会稍微讲一下这个 decoding delay 或这个 delay 到底是要怎么去克服这件事情。OK， 因为我的讯号打过去之后，我一定会有 delay 嘛，对不对？所以我回头去看这三个 base station 在下面，其实如果是 mobile device 的话，它距离 base station 其实的距离会不一样。 对不对 ？base station 1可能会比较远 ，base station 2可能比较靠近。Station 1使用者1好，我们把它讲使用者1、2、3，使用者1可能比较离 base station 比较远一点点，使用者2可能比较靠近 base station。OK， 使用者3可能又更靠近 base station， 所以它的 propagational delay 一定会不太一样。OK， 我一定要 guarantee 这个 propagational delay or coding delay is approximately around 20 milliseconds， 不能再多，再多我就会出错。尤其是 CDMA， 你还记得我们在讲 CDMA 的时候 ，CDMA cross correlation 是非常低的，但是 auto correlation itself 其实假设我今天自己只要我一点 time slice off 的话，那就会有问题。OK， 这个是在讲这个东西。OK， 好。OK， 好，那我们 continue。OK， 所以呢 ，the overall the design of a TDMA slot is actually this. Okay, so this is what they try to do. First, remember we have to do the sampling from analog to digital using post-coded modulation (PCM), right? So we have learned about PCM. We take a sampling on the speech encoding to change analog to the digital data, right? Once I did this encoding, that encoding is 20k bits per second encode. Okay, then you have to take a speech sampling, which is 20 milliseconds or 240 bits of the sampling on each of the sample. Then you insert the error correction code. The error correction code is 1/2, means they double it. So you double send with a different error correction code of the data. So now the data becomes 480 bits per block. Okay, so now the correction code has you can think of this double sense the sampling data. Then you add 4 bits of the shift register. Remember the shift register we need to generate what? Generate encoding, right? So I need adds 4 bits of shift register, which now including 488 bits of a code block length. From there on, we do what? To break that channel will also break down to what? That physical channel was break down to a channel for system. So now that channel itself is what? So following break times 488, then divided by 20 over the 10 to the negative 3 seconds. Now that system is 195.2k bits. Okay. But you also need to consider of a speech field of a frequency. Okay, so a 900 megahertz duration, okay, of the speech field. Okay, each training sequence including on each time slot. Okay, no. So you combine them. Let me do that. So you combine the training, the speech frequency with the training sequence, okay, together with the bus design. Then you do a multiplexing, okay, with the time division, whatever the multiplexing. Then you actually sense that signal, okay. So that's how the TTM is. Just for you to know, okay. For you, you just have to know that the speech encoding, I use post-coded modulation. Then I do a sampling of 20 milliseconds or 240 bits. Okay. Then I do a code rate to generate error correction code, which double the data. Then you add 4 bits of shift register to encoding that signal, the data. Then you all together multiplexing the sense amount. Okay. So that's roughly that TDM try to do. Okay. Now, with that saying, the next thing we take a look is GSM network. Now the GSM network is the same thing with CDMA, the GSM. It's actually architecture is quite similar. You will see why. Okay. Now the GSM architecture still have on the left side has a mobile base station, a mobile station, mobile nodes. Okay, or mobile phone. You can think of this way. They still connect to a base station transceiver. Okay. Then the base station transceiver instead, it connects to a base station controller. Okay, so it's now it has a little architecture to it. A set of a base station are controlled by a base station controller. The base station controller then connect to a mobile switching center, kind of like a mobile telephone switching network. Okay, so we take a look on those. Then mobile telephone switching network to connect to public switching telephone network. Okay, we take a look on each one of them. It's quite similar to CDMA. Now, the mobile station is this. The mobile station are communicate across interface or air interface or wireless interface, okay, which you can call them any of those, okay, with the base station transceiver in a sense cell. So you connect to a base station, okay, in a sense cell, okay. Then the mobile equipment or ME, okay, is a physical terminal such as telephone, okay. This ME including the radio transceiver digital signal process to process digital signal, okay, and the subscriber identity module, or this called SIM， 这就是我们讲的 SIM card，OK， 我们的 SIM card insert 进去整个叫做 mobile station，OK， in the GSM the subscriber are generic， 所以这个你的 iPhone 啊 Android phone they are generic until 你把这个 SIM card insert into your mobile phone. Okay, so now that becomes a mobile station, okay, for your mobile devices. That SIM card will including your IME something, that user's ID, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's mobile station. Then we have what we call the base station transceiver, which just like the base station we've been talking about. Instead, that base station transceiver is a base station set of base station transceiver and the base station controller in the whole thing called base station subsystem. Okay, now that base station subsystem including the base station controller, BSC, and one or more base station transceiver station or BTS. 就是我们刚刚讲之前讲的 BS base station, okay? Each BTS or BS is defined as a single cell, okay, which including radio antenna, radio transceiver, and link to base station controller, okay? Now, the base station controller itself, it's reserve a radio frequency. Actually, it's the base station controller now reserving the frequency, managing the handoff of mobile units from one cell to another cell within the base station subsystem. 所以在这个 subsystem 里面，你要 hand off between any of those base station. It can be handled by base station controller, or it also control the paging. 所以它把 workload of a MTSO 稍微分了一点。Okay, so that's the GSM. Now, so base station controller now control a reserve of a frequency channel and do the handoff and do the paging. Okay. Now, but that's what's inside a base station system, subsystem. So you will have a many base station subsystem. Okay. Then you will also connect to a single mobile switching telephone center. This is what we call a network subsystem. Now, a network subsystem or NS, which provide the link between the cellular network and public telephone switching network or PSTN. Okay? It also control the handoff between cells in different base station subsystem. Okay? If you want to switch what's inside the base station subsystem, okay, it is controlled on the base station controller. But you want to hand out from one subsystem to another subsystem, okay, it is controlled by mobile switching center. Okay. It also handles authentication of the user and validating account, which is same thing as before on the MTSO. Enable worldwide roaming on the mobile users, okay, which is same operation operation at the MTSO before. Okay. Then you have a central element of, so therefore the central element of this network subsystem is the mobile switching center, which is the same principle of MTSO. Okay. Now, the mobile switching center has many databases. Okay. The first database is home location register database, which stores the information of each subscribe belong to it, where location is, okay, belong to it, the home location. Then you have a visitor location register database. This maintains the information on the subscriber current location, where the current location at. Okay, one is home location, means where it registered, store all the information on the subscriber. The other is the location where they are currently located at. Okay, then you have authentication center database, okay, which is authenticate activity or holding any encryption key. They are in the authentication center database. Okay. Then the next thing is the equipment identity register database, which keeps track type of equipment existing at the mobile station. Okay, are you using iPhone? Are you using Android? Are you using which type of mobile devices? Okay, they are also store those information at the database. So this will be the overall of GSM. So the GSM will have mobile devices connect to the base station or base station transceiver. Then base station transceiver has a base station controller. Okay, the controller connect to a mobile telephone switching center, which overall is a network subsystem. Okay, all right. So this is quite the same as what we talked about before, but in the GSM they break down architecture a little bit more. Okay, all right. So from there on, we will take a look on this. The next thing, if you look on the frame format on the GSM, this is just for your knowledge. You do not have to memorize it. Okay, I probably will not ask you on the exam. Okay, just for you information. Okay, so usually in the cellular network, okay, you have every data is a frame. Okay, now each of those frame itself, okay, are breaks down to a hierarchical structure. You will have one hyperframe. That one hyperframe is including 2,048 subframe. This total of one single hyperframe is roughly 3 hours 29 minutes long. Okay, then that hyperframe break down to 2,000 of those superframe. Each of those superframe will break down to 51 multi-frame. One superframe now breaks down to 6.112 seconds, okay, which break down to 51 multi-frame. One multi-frame, okay, will break down to 26 frame. Right, that one multi-frame is 120 milliseconds. Okay, now here's what it is. That one frame, that one multi-frame break down to 26 frame. That one single frame itself, okay, will break down to 8 time slot. That 8 time slot are break down each time slot for, let's say, for one user. Okay, so each user will get assigned into 8 time slot. Okay, that single time slot is only 0.577 milliseconds only. Okay, that second including the following format. Okay, you will have what? That following format of this. Okay, you will have tail bits. This allows for synchronization of one mobile devices. So if I heard tail bits, okay, I know that's for starting the time slot for that packet. Okay, then I have an encrypted bits. This is actually the data I want to send. 57 encrypted bits. Okay, so you can see I have 2 encrypted bit, 257 encrypted bit on this time slot frame. Okay, now this is for error correction code. So I have a 1 and 2. Okay, I send double. Okay, but they using different error correction code to encode this encrypted bits. Okay. So I have the encrypted bit. You can think about the encrypted bit as a data. Okay. Then I have a stealing bits. Okay. 3 stealing bits, which indicating the block contain data or it's stolen by urgent control signal. Right. I can borrow this specific time slot to use for some control signal by borrowed it. Okay, by checking that, I know that this entire time slot is not for me to use. Okay, so that's stealing bits. Then you have a training sequence. You have 26 bits for training sequence, which using adaptive parameter at the receiver for the current path propagational characteristic. Okay, this for training to see the propagational characteristic, okay, of the transmission, okay, which you have a stronger signal selected in this case for multi-path propagation. So these are using for that multi-path purpose. Then at the end, you have a guard bits. Okay, this usually used to avoid overlapping with other bursts during a different path delay. Remember, we say we have a different user, different location. So different location will have a different propagational delay. The guard bits means if you overlap about this much, 8.2 bits, you are okay. As long as you're not overlapping between the tail bits, okay, then you are okay. Okay, all right. So therefore, this is the overlap of this 2 time slot. OK， 有问题吗？有人举手，来，请说。
就是刚刚老师有讲那个 GSM， 可是 GSM 到底是什么？还就是不太知道，就是只知道它是 Global System for Mobile Communications。
你可以把它想象成就是我们现在用的 devices， 有CDMA， 有 GSM， 有各式各样的 standard， 有几种 standard，one for Europe，one for United States，one for Japan，one for Taiwan 这样子，你可以把它这样想，但是它的general architecture 是差不多的 ，OK， 只不过它的 standard 有一些 bit size 会不太一样，等等这些 ，OK，
所以是一个比较一个就是概念。
就是它其实是一个系统 ，OK， 在 GSM 里面，我不知道你之前有没有用过cellular network， 它是必须要烧号码进去的。没有 ，OK， 你现在用的 cellular network 是不是都是插 SIM 卡进去的？对啊，因为插 SIM 卡进去的大部分都是 GSM type system，OK， 但是早期有用就是在 second 或 third generation， 它其实有另外一种系统是可以烧号码进去的。或是在欧洲有一些国家，它是用这个 cellular network， 它是直接要把号码烧进你的手机里面。Those are different type of system。Okay? 但是就算是 different type of system， 它的 general structure 还是一样，它还是一样 for your mobile device 去 identify connect 到 base station，base station connect 到 some NTSO， 或者是中间它 connect 到base station controller， 再 connect 到 MTSO 这种概念，其实这个是一样的。OK， 所以 GSM、TM 你可以把它想象成，你可以把它 totally 想象成是 similar type system。
好
，OK， 就像是wireless Wi-Fi connection， 你有 AL2.11G、AL2.11N 或 AL2.11P， 其实 overall 它的下层还是差不多的。OK， 好，请。
但是就是所以 GSM 如果是可以有一个更具体的对应嘛，就是说它对应到的是，就像老师刚刚讲说，可能 WiFi 有哪些规范，然后
对，
但是那 GSM 它对应
GSM 是一种规范啊，它是一种规范，对，
好，
对，
那个 frame 是就是什么意思
？frame 的意思吗？OK。就是它其实是这样子，因为假设我今天在一个 base station 来看的话，对于 base station， 因为我会 support 这么多的使用者 ，OK，对于 base station， 它的 units 可能是或者是它的 unit 可能是一个 super frame，OK， 但是你再退回去，对于整个，譬如说，假设我整个 network subsystem 来看的话，它要看的其实就是一个 hyperframe。它所关心的就是一整个 hyperframe 的状况。OK，那对于一个 base station 或是一个area of control， 它可能是看一个 superframe。OK，但是对于一个physical channel set of physical channel， 你去看的是一个 multi-frame。OK， 对于 single physical channel， 你可能看到的是一个 frame。OK， 但是对于使用者我们来看的话，是一个 logical frame 或者是8个 time slots。所以对于最下面来讲的话，每一个，譬如说我们在最下面来看的这0、1、2、3、4、5、6、7，对不对？是8个 frame，这可能是8个使用者在这个 time slot 用这个 frame。OK， 那这里就是对于一个最下面，就是对于一个 single 使用者在看我今天要传送一个 data 的时候，我的 time slot 是在每0.557秒 millisecond 里面送这个东西。那这一个 frame 里面对于一个使用者包括些什么东西，就是像我们刚刚讲的，最重要的 data 是这个57个 encrypted bits。OK，但是他用2个57个 encrypted bits，because 因为他之前我们之前讲不是有一个 code 在哪里？我有讲到。在这里 ，OK， 在这里我们做 error correction code 的时候 ，OK， 我们是 double 这个 error correction， 所以我们是送了2个 ，OK， 所以表示我们在 actual data frame 里面，或者是这个 time slot 里面，我们是有2个57 encrypted bits 的 data， 所以这2个才是真正的 data 你要送 ，OK。所以这个也是 for your knowledge， 因为我们会讲这个 frame， 因为最重要的就是我们会要看，就是我们现在这个 data 能够 transmit， 我会要的 delay 会是什么？那我就需要 somehow 去 guarantee 这个packet 可以 receive a certain amount of time。那我这个 packet 一定要去看这个 packet size 或者 packet 里面的东西。OK， OK，
那如果使用者是每0.5577毫秒去传送这个，那个 hyperframe 它就是3小时，那个是
29。
对，那个是指什么？
那个是在 manage， 我今天这样 manage 整个 control 的时候，它对于他来看的话是看一整个 hyperframe 或者整个 superframe。譬如说我今天我的系统要 manage 某些几个 set of a base station 的时候，在 network subsystem 里面 ，sorry， 在这个 network subsystem 在最右边的这个 network subsystem 里面，它不管到每一个 device 这些小的 time slot， 它所 manage 都是这种 hyperframe。所以对于他们来看的话，他们 organize 就是看这个 hyperframe 在这段时间里面有没有任何的问题，或这段时间我的
谁管 hyperframe？
network subsystem 里面的东西有关。
然后每个人都切不一样的，把那个 superframe 跟 multiframe 都切不一样的大小，是谁决定的？
是 base station， 没有人会切不一样，都切一样的啊。
那为什么这边看起来有就是秒数都一样，可是切成了不同的小块？一个切51，一个切26，好像在图上。
OK， 你是说这有些大有些小，对不对？那你还记得我们在讲的里面是有一些它会切，是因为我今天 transmission speed 要变得比较快，
就是有一些使用者的用量比较大。
对，它就会切，就是它就会切比较小的、比较大的 frame。你可以想象比较大的 frame， 它的 speed 就会比较高。
OK，
所以它会这样 dynamically 切它，因为它 dynamically 切它会要 also based on 我今天这个 base station 我有多少个使用者，我必须support。 那多少个使用者我必须 support 它的话，我要背上什么？我要背上我的 coverage size。所以其实在真实状况下面，每一个 cell 的 size 是不一样大的。
OK，
因为它不一样大，它会导致它 support 的人不一样多，导致它 support 的人不一样多的时候，我的 friend size 或者是 friend number 会不太一样。OK， 所以它可以 dynamically change 这件事情。OK， 好，
那老师，我想再问，
请问
就是可以再就是解释 training sequence， 就是
training sequence， 你其实不用了解太多。training sequence 其实在看我今天我送过去我的 encoding technique 够不够 ？OK， 因为我的 multipath， 我的signal noise， 我是不是要做更好的 encoding？你还记得我们的 encoding 在 encoding 就是，譬如说，我今天会有 interference， 那我的 encoding 要不一样，或者是我今天会有overlapping between 不同的 bits， 我的 encoding 要不一样。我今天速度要变快，我的 encoding 又不一样。OK， 所以这个 training sequence 在做这件事，这些所有的事情，尤其是在
他怎么做得到啊？就是他也是看准确度吗？还是？
对啊，他去看 bit error rate 啊。对啊，如果今天 bit error rate 很高的话，我一定要 slow down sampling 嘛，对不对？by slow down sampling 就是把我现在 encoding 的 bits 会要不一样。OK， 所以是这样子在做这个training sequence 的。那我一改这个 training sequence， 我就必须要改这些东西。所以你会去看 the training sequence 呢 has to do with the propagational characteristic。OK， 这个 propagational characteristic 包括 signal strength 啊，包括 error rate 啊等等这些东西 ，especially 或者是 by multipath propagation， 我会 receive multiple copy， 那我应该要怎么处理这件事情？这些都会在改这个 trend， 在改我怎么去 encoding 这个 data。那我怎么 encoding 这个 data， 我就要 follow 这个 training sequence。我的 training sequence 里面丢一系列的这些 sequence 进来，然后回来看这个 sequence 是对的还是错的，或是有 error。OK， 然后由这边去改它，这样子。OK， OK。
那为什么那个 stealing bit 要分成2块
？stealing bits 要分成2块，因为我可以 stealing part of 呀。对啊，我可以只 stealing 一半的。我可以或者我可以全部把它 steal 过来。
它是 steal 前面那一块，还是 steal 它后面的那一块？
它就有2个 stealing bits 嘛，对不对？每个57 encrypted bits 里面，后面我加了一个 stealing bits， 另外一个57还有一个 stealing bits。这个可以这个可以确定说，我现在只要偷前半部还是偷后半部的 data。
所以他会先听完，然后再知道说这个是 data 还是这个是其他的重要讯号这样子。
对。譬如说，它可能是我要 set up specific control 等等之类的。对，
可能 handshake 也会在
或者是 handover。
对，
都会在这个地方试着传这种东西。应该不是 handover， 应该比较像是。这里有的时候我会传送，譬如说你还记得我们刚刚有说open loop 跟 close loop 做 power control 吗？有的时候他会把那个 information 放在这个里面，然后丢过去。OK， 好。
那我再确认一下，那个 用 TDMA 的是 GSM， 然后前面 CDMA 的是有哪个系统用 CDMA 吗？
只要是 digital 都可以用 TDMA， 都是用 TDMA。对。
OK。
只要是 digital transmission 都是用 TDMA， 因为 TDMA 可以把 time 再切，但是 analog 没有办法切 analog signal。对，所以后面的就是 second generation、third generation、fourth generation 到 fifth generation 都会用 TDMA。只不过它会 combination of a frequency division 1 to physical channel 完之后，再用 TDMA divide 到 logical channel。
再一次。
sorry， 所以一开始一定会用 frequency division， 对不对？去 divide physical channel， 所以我每一个 frequency 有一个 physical channel 嘛，对不对？ 然后我再用 time 的方式去切，变成 logical channel。
频率先切，然后我拿一个频率出来，再用时间去切它。
对，那在这个里面时间是切了8，每一个频率切了8等份嘛。
然后那等份我就叫一个 frame，
就叫一个 friend 或者是一个使用者的 logical channel，因为这每一个这个时间我就会丢一个 friend 给对于某一个使用者。
OK，可是刚才的 super frame 会不一样，大小会根据 user 来弹性调整，然后又会说这个 frame 是固定大小的，这两个我有点搞混了。
那就是还是固定大小啊，这个都是它的倍数啊。一定都会试着要做它的倍数，所以表示什么？表示我这个 frame 我的时间一定要确定一个 physical size，OK，所以才会在每一个 frame 里面 ，OK， 我还要加一个 tail bits 跟 tail bits on each， 对不对？我才知道这个 frame 这个的大小，确定我是在这个 frame。但是你一开始 initially connect 到这个 base station 做 handshake 的时候，然后你要 request 我今天要多，我的 data rate 要多快，我会 decide 我要用哪一个 frame size。
然后这个是写在协定里面的。
这个是你一开始在就是 initiate 准备要 make a call 或者是 initiate 准备要 send data 的时候，他必须先做这件事情。
我会跟他说我预计的用量是多大这样子。
没错。OK， OK， 好。OK， 好，没有问题的话，我们 continue， 还是我们休息？我们 continue 好了，我看看50集，我看看下面。好，我们把下面的这一页讲完好了。那 GSM 做这个 speech signal process 一样，跟刚刚我们讲的这个CDMA 差不太多。OK， 一样我们会做 speech encoding。OK， 那 speech encoding 我们用什么？用 regular post。OK， 做 linear predicted coder。OK，kind of like a PCM。给你们稍微想象成它是variation of PCM， 然后再来做 channel encoding， 那这个 channel encoding 就是用 TDM，time division multiple acid 去做 channel 的 encoding，OK， 所以表示我们必须把原本的 signal data 必須切成 specific 的 TTM size，OK， 的 time slot size， 那就像刚刚同學 just like 的同學問的，I need to switch back to English. Just like what the student asked, okay, the size of the time frame are different. So I need to do a channel encoding based on the channel handshake, the requirement or channel assignment. Okay. Then you do a bit interleaving. Those we skip a little bit. Okay. Then you do a speech data rate are encrypted into 144 bits at a specific time, because later on you need to have at least that much amount of time to decode 这个 signal， 所以听起来 the sound 听起来才不会断断续续的 because the people listen to the sound has specific data requirement. Then each block are break down to a small block at a different speech sampling. 我们刚刚讲的 different encoding sampling， 这就是两个不同的这个57 encrypted bits. Then you modulate them out. Okay, that modulation using Gaussian minimum shift keying, kind of like frequency shift, one type of frequency shift keying. Okay, then you set that signal out from the mobile device to base station, or base station to mobile device. Now, at the mobile device, at the base station will demodulate it. Okay, say the receiver will demodulate it. Okay, sorry, it will de-equalize. The equalization, the delay equalization, I'll talk about a little bit later. The delay equalization is for multi-path purpose. Okay, I'll talk about delay equalization a little bit. Then you do a burst. Sorry, though, I'm going forward. Okay, then you modulate what's different. Then you demodulate it. You do a delay equalization. I'll talk about delay equalization later. Delay equalization is allow you to do a synchronization at the base station, okay, for multi-path purpose. Then also you do the reverse of whatever you did before. You bus disassembly, decrypt, okay, bit interleaving, and the channel decoding, then the speech decoding. Then you actually receive the speech, okay. Now, the delay equalization is this. The delay equalization is because we have a mobile unit share the same TTM frame. Okay, so we have one big frame, then we have a time slot, right? Now, because a different mobile device, they are different, has a different distance between the mobile device and the base station, which you will have a different amount of delay. Okay, because you have different amount of delay, base station try to control the signal to synchronize the timing at a variety of mobile units. Okay, you first use the tail bits and guard bits, provide the margin, allow the overlapping of two mobile devices, right? 所以你可以看我们一开始这个每一个 time slot, right? You connect to a next time slot for next users. If there's a delay, means that two packets, these two time slots will get overlapped, okay? Because one user sends, the other one will sense again, okay? Will sense then that the signal will get overlapped by one mobile device to another mobile device. So you need to have the tail bits and the guard bits to do this. Once you have tail bits to do this, if I can have that, okay, sorry, these are the two speech sampling, which is at 57 encrypting side bits. Okay, where did I have that two delays? The delay equalization. Okay, so this is what will happen is now we have a different mobile devices. Let's move to here. So if you look on the second, from the bottom, the second one, you have a time slot, right? Each of the time slot assigned to different users. So now I have a users. Now imagine you have a user at a different location, okay? So when you all send the same time to a base station, you will have a delay, have different delay. So it means if user 0 sends one friend, but it gets a delay, means now that overlapping to the users wants that friend, okay? That overlapping may cause overlapping to the second one, third one, fourth one, okay? As long as that did not overlapping to the 57 encrypted bit, you'll be okay, okay? If it's not, they need to balance this delay, okay? So it means if that's the case, okay, so if that's the case, means now the base station need to do a delay equalization to tell, hey, although I assign you a time slot is at this point, you need to do some delay to sense the next frame packet. So it means everybody else has to do the different type of delay time, okay? In order at the receiving at the base station, I will receive this perfectly line up for beginning, end, and the beginning for the next time slot. End of one time slot, beginning of the next time slot, okay? That's the delay equalization tries to do, okay? Equalize tries to do, because a different mobile unit shares the TTM frame. The different distance between TTM frame causes different amount of delay. So it means the base station need to send a control signal to synchronize the timing for different mobile device. Now the different mobile device will synchronize, so they know exactly to send the friend, but that friend cannot overlap with each other, okay? All right, so that's the delay equalization. 有没有任何问题?
So when does it throw away the frame? Does it throw it away when two trail bits overlaps? Like,
when the tail bit overlap toward to the 57 encrypted bits.
What? Again?
When the overlap the 257 encrypted bit.
Oh, so the two trail bits can overlap each other?
Yeah. So tail bit and the guard bits. Now remember you have a guard bits, tail bits, and a tail bits.
Yeah.
如果两个 friend， 譬如说我今天这有一个 friend， 然后我下面又有另外一个 friend， 它 overlap 这么多的话，它就会怎么样？它就 provide 这个 margin， 因为它还是可以 decrypt 这个57 encrypted bits。
所以它的 margin 算是3还是 8.25 啊？或是 8.5加3？
应该是，如果尾巴的话是3加上 8.25。OK。但是下一个人的 friend 进来的话，他还有另外一个3呢、啊。 因为它衔接上的另外一个 frame 它还有一个 tail bits which is 3嘛，对不对？但是
它压过去的中间就是都两边都听不懂的。
对，没错。那如果你压过去一点点的时候，其实 base station 就会说，那我要把你的 time， 假设你今天有一个 clock 的话，我就会把你的 clock 调慢一点点，这叫做 synchronization。所以呢 ，base station 会 send 一个 control signal 去 synchronize timing， 所以表示。因为有些 base station， 有些 mobile device 比较靠近 base station， 有些 mobile device 离 base station 比较远，所以它的 travel time， 它的这个 propagational delay 会比较长。
所以你动来动去的时候，它就会看你压到多少。
对，它就会一直 adjust 这个 timing。
它
就会一直跟这些 mobile device 说快慢。其实它做一个 clocking 的 timing 的 adjustment。OK， 所以 that's what the delay equalization tries to do。所以刚刚我们讲在这里的时候，当我 demodulate 的时候，我就知道发生了什么事情，我就必须在这里做 delay equalization。OK， 我在做 delay equalization 的时候，我就 base station 就要 send control signal。如果它 overlapping 两个 frame overlapping 太多的时候，不能说 frame， 两个 time slot overlapping 太多的时候，我就会跟 mobile device 讲。一个送慢一点，一个送快一点 ，whatever that is，OK。
然后压太多就会叫它这个 time slot 对掉。
没错，如果真的 delay 太多了，那它因为 delay 太多，它就会 interfere， 因为它还记得吗？它是用同样的 frequency， 所以它就会
用舌打架，
两个用舌就会 interfere， 它就会互相干扰。那这个时候 base station 就没办法 decode 这件事情，那它就把这两个的 frame 都drop 掉。然后重新 readjust 这个 time clocking。OK， 但是这些事情发生非常快速的，因为你必须想哦，这每一个 time slot 其实是 0.577 millisecond 哦，它不到，就是它大概半个 millisecond 就一个 frame， 就一个 time slot， 所以这件事情是发生的非常的快速的。OK， OK， 好，那我们休息一下好了，我们休息一个13分钟好了，我们4点15 we come back，OK， for next half，OK， 但是在你出去前，你们可不可以 sign in sign off 一下 ，OK， 所以出去前先 sign off 一下，然后回来再 sign in 一下，等15分钟 we come back come back at 4:15 OK 好不好？然后 sign off and sign in when you come back。 Alright， 那这个时候你们有任何有问题的，你们可以继续发问。OK， I'll stay online。OK。Alright， so let's take a 12-minute breaks， 休息个12分钟。